I really don't think people understand how good Michael Wacha has been in Kansas City. One Royal Way back at it here on Kansas City Sports Network. I'm Joel Penfield. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. A little bit of an earlier episode for you guys this week, recording Monday afternoon right after the Royals and Phillies Monday afternoon game wrapped up. We'll talk about that series, kind of a clean break with that. Wanted to get podcast done as well before USA Belgium, so I don't have to worry about recording then, and then kind of just an awkward time with the series beginning in New York this week. They're heading up to Queens to play the Mets and then the Orioles before the All-Star break. So a lot to talk about with this series, as I talked about on the live post game on Thursday right after the Rays game from Kauffman. Talked about some of the stuff with the trade deadline and how the Royals might navigate that, and combined with some of the injury stuff, it may not be as cut and dry as you may think, at least in my opinion. So we'll talk about some of those storylines as we're getting going here. Before we do all that, please make sure to like the video, subscribe over on wherever you get your podcast, leave your likes and reviews over there, and keep this thing growing. I really appreciate all the support we've gotten this season, despite not necessarily having some winning baseball to talk about. And as always, this show brought to you by Emprise Bank, member FDIC, our partners in Possible here at KCSN. So try and rapid fire as much of a recap as I can in the first 10 minutes of this episode before moving forward. Saturday's game, because no game Friday because of the Colombia-Ghana game at Arrowhead. Royals lost 6-1 on the 4th of July. All the fireworks were really Phillies related. 3 home runs were pretty much the difference in this game. JT Realmuto hits a home run in the 4th. Gabriel Rincones Jr. goes back-to-back with him, and it's 3-0. Alec Boehm later tacks one on, and it was 4-1 at that point. Wacha pitched okay. He scattered 8 hits, 4 earned runs, all in those home runs. 7 strikeouts, 1 walk. ERA still 3.45. We'll talk about him a little bit later on. Ursig, Kwas, and Way the rest of the way. Ursig gives up a run, and so did Kwas. Those were all, looks like it was Ursig's run was on a wild pitch, and then Rincones hit a double off of Kwas. Not much to speak of offensively for the Royals. Nick Lofton had an RBI single in the 4th inning. That was the only run the Royals had. They struck out 15 times, did not walk a single time. Jesus Luzardo, 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 9 strikeouts, no walks. Jonathan Bolin, 3 strikeouts in an inning. Ryan Kirkering with 2 strikeouts, and then Tim Meza wrapped up the 9th with a strikeout. Really just an uncompetitive game for the most part. Just not a lot there. And, the Phillies are a really good team. Felt like maybe, who knows they even are able to win a game in this series. Well, it turns out they were able to the next day. You end up getting a 5-2 win on Sunday afternoon against the Phillies. And in this one, Luinder Avila gives you 5 innings, a 1-run ball, 4 strikeouts. And from the first inning, really set a tone that I thought he was going to pitch pretty well. He ends up in that first inning, gets a ground out, Trey Turner, after, seeing a few pitches, ends up working a 3-2 count, strikes out Kyle Schwarber, and then gets Bryce Harper looking. And, he was fairly efficient, about 69 pitches. He was getting to that third time through the order, and they kind of protected him a little bit, in a tight game, and took him out. Whether you agree with that or not, it ended up working out. So obviously, results-based business, got the job done. But it was another solid outing from Avila. He has been kind of up and down in a few of these outings, but really, outside of that really bad blow-up game against Houston, since moving to the rotation, he's pitched pretty well. It's still a lot of work in progress. It's figuring out how his stuff plays in the strike zone. How is he able to hold on to, kind of reining stuff in, I think is the main thing that he really needs to work on. But it's been great to watch him continue to work, continue to get better. And it gives you some hope that potentially he can be a long-term rotation piece. I'd be wrong about that. I thought he would be a reliever, and I thought that was the way he profiles best. But if we watch larger sample, like we talked about last week, there is potential there that I think he might be able to be a starter as we go forward. But a little bit of a longer runway to kind of look at those things before we move forward. Strom gives you a scoreless inning. John Schreiber gives up 1 run, but at that time, it was a 3-2 game at that point. Daniel Lynch scoreless 8th, and then Alex Lang shuts it down 1-2-3 in the 9th for his 8th save. I think every time he's come in a save situation, he's 100%. If the Royals decide to hold on to him, then maybe that's a piece that you can build on, in a bullpen. Maybe not as the closer, but proves he can handle some high leverage. If not, that's a piece he can dangle out there at the deadline. He's on a 1-year deal. He's still got controllable years, that you to re-up. So, but definitely maybe something to consider if you want to move a bullpen arm. On the offensive side for Kansas City, they got it going. They got 2 in the first inning. They're doing a really good job of scoring in the first, really almost this entire month. Lane Thomas with a double off Aaron Nola, and Michael Massey follows it up with an RBI single, so 2-0 off Aaron Nola quickly. Nola settled in pretty well after that and ends up, he ends up going 7 innings in this one. His final line is 7 innings, 7 hits, 3 earned, 7 strikeouts, no walks. So in the first 2 games of this series, in the first 16 innings, the Royals struck out 22 times and didn't walk a single time. Seth Johnson ends up walking a couple of guys in the 8th inning, and that ultimately proved to be costly. A Jack Caglianone sacrifice fly in the 5th gives you a 3-1 lead, and then probably the biggest hit that Salvi had in quite some time. 8th inning, he comes up, and it's a 3-2 game. And listen, Alex Lang has done a good job in the 9th inning in save situations, but it is not a guarantee by any stretch, right? Seth Johnson comes in, walks Bobby Wood Jr., gets Cags to fly out, walks Lane Thomas. They bring in Kyle Backus and gets Nick Lofton swinging. So there's 2 outs, 2 on, and Salvi hits a double down the left field line, 2-run score, 5-2, and there's your game. So a kind of a gritty win, and it was good to see them just be able to hang on, but then add to that lead at the end. And for Salvi to get that hit in that spot, obviously significant. We know what the numbers are for Salvi. He's one of the worst qualified hitters in the league. But for him to come up there, I mean, that's what veterans do, right? And he has not had many opportunities to do that. He has not come through in a lot of those situations. For him to do it in that spot, obviously good to see. And the game that just happened Monday afternoon, I called what I called it on when the White Sox beat it 22-1. Beat the Royals 22-1. Today was a prison beating, but the Royals were on the giving end of it in this one. 15-1, 15 runs on 22 hits. And they did this facing Christopher Sanchez, who is one of the 3 to 5 best pitchers in the entire league. And he had been struggling a little bit coming into this, but he had been unbelievable before. And they just tagged him from the first. Now, this is also opportunistic on the Royals side because it looked like they were not going to get out of this inning, getting maybe one, you were hoping. But it starts out, Lane Thomas walk, Bobby grounds into a force out, Salvi singles, and at that point, it's Jack Caglianone coming up left on left with 1 out, and he hits a ground ball to the second baseman. It looks like it's going to be a 4-6-3, get out of the inning. And Trey Turner airmails the throw to the right side of Bryce Harper, gets by, runs, scores. Then Nick Lofton comes up, drives the ball to right. Jack is barely safe. You get a lead. Okay, feeling good. Then Lane Thomas keeps, or not Lane. I keep saying every outfielder is Lane Thomas. I don't know why I'm doing that. Starling Marte comes up, 2-out knock. It's 3-1. Tyler Tolbert singles off of Christopher Sanchez. And then shout out Luke Maile. We talked about this, that he came up because Salvi was dealing with some elbow soreness. Third catcher kind of gets Salvi out from behind the plate a little bit. Who knows how long he's actually here. They did it as kind of an insurance policy in case they needed Salvi to either hit the IL or he can't catch for a while, whatever the case. And hits a 3-run, 2-out opposite field homer off the top of the wall, bounced over, and get a 6 spot on Christopher Sanchez in that first inning. Send 8 to the plate, score 6. And the Phillies had gotten a run in the first. The Royals go from there. And the Royals were just off and running. They scored in every single inning for the first time since 1998. They scored in it every single inning, 1 through 8. Obviously, they were not going to hit in the ninth because they're up 1,000. But the second time in franchise history, first time since 98 that they did that. And it was just, they just kept it going. They got 9 runs off Christopher Sanchez. They chased him after 4. 3 1/3, 12 hits, 9 earned, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, and he gave up 3 home runs. I mean, it was one of those days where everything is going right if you're a Royals hitter. Salvi comes up in the second, hits a home run. That's number 314, closing in on the franchise record. Tyler Tolbert doubles in the third to make it 8-1. Lane Thomas hits a home run off of Christopher Sanchez. That pretty much was the end of his day. And then again, Tyler Tolbert, guys. Tyler Tolbert went 5 for 5 with 2 RBIs in this game, 3 runs scored. I understand. Tyler Tolbert is, if you were to rank the position players, there's 13 of them, right? He's probably 12th, probably 13th, right? Like he is at the bottom of the roster. Like he is the equivalent of like the special teamers on the Chiefs roster, like the 49th, 50th, 51st guy on the roster, right? Like we understand that. But for him to have a day like that, like it is awesome because that is somebody finding a way to contribute. It wasn't just that Bobby had an awesome day. It wasn't just that Salvi had a great day or Cags or Carter who actually got a day off today. It was Starling Marte. It was Nick Lofton. It was Tyler Tolbert. It was Luke Maile. The only guy that didn't get a hit today was Josh Rojas, right? Like it was a hit parade all around. Starling Marte, he had 2 hits and 2 RBIs today. Jack gets a couple RBIs late in this game with an RBI single. Massey gets an RBI single in the 8th, and this is when they brought in the position player. But they ended up getting a couple of runs there just for good measure. But it was an impressive day for the offense. And to do it again, predominantly against one of the best pitchers in baseball, not just in the National League. I mean, I don't know how much it can carry forward, but certainly just one of those days that you feel really good about if you're the Royals. And it's funny too. Like Bobby gets a couple of hits, but no RBI, scores 2 runs. Salvi he has 3 hits. He only has the 1 run. Now, something to watch is that Salvi looks like I think he got hit by a pitch late in this game, and then 7th inning, I believe, and left. He was with trainer Kyle Turner. We'll see what comes of that. But it didn't look like there was too much concern. Granted, full disclosure, I was watching the game, but I was dual screening Spain, Portugal, and the Royals, and I had the audio on Spain, Portugal. So I was watching the game, but I did not have the broadcast on to know exactly what happened there, what was said. I was also doing my day job during this. So I glanced over, saw he got hit, glanced back, and then saw he was out of the game. So I am unsure, what that's going to look like. On the pitching side, a weird one for Noah Cameron. He grinds through 5, only gives up 1, had traffic all day. I think Philly left 14 on base. Something of that nature. 15 on base. They go 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Royals went 11 for 20 with runners in scoring position today, and they still left 11 on. So they were still left some meat on the bone. But scatters 6 hits, strikes out 7. He walked 5. That is the concern, right? Like the walks have been a serious issue for him in his last 5 starts, but he didn't have the strikeouts to go with it. At least in this one, strikes out 7 in 5 innings against a good lineup. They ended up subbing a lot of their guys out. Like Trey Turner started this game. He goes 3 for 4 in this one. I know he's not having a great year, but a really good track record. Kyle Schwarber goes 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts, and then got Ejectocito gets tossed out of this game. Harper walks 3. I think a lot of those walks were to Harper, which is fair. Bohm, Marsh is having a great year. Real Muto historically has been great. Stott, that lineup, they have some real dudes, and they have really turned their season around, and they're going to be a playoff team and a really good playoff team in the National League, I believe, based on what they've done basically since the end of April. But the Royals won a series against them. The Royals have really struggled against teams over 500 this year, and found a way to get it done in this series. They're 37-54. They're still last in the American League Central. The minus 71 run differential really helped today because they were last in baseball in run differential. Now they're second worst, third, because the A's are now minus 72. But against teams over 500, the Royals are 22-38. But they found a way to win a series in this one. So where it's due, I'll give them credit. It does not turn the season around. It does not change my perspective. But we take the wins where we can get them. Happy to see them win a game and win a series against a team that I thought could potentially come in here and sweep, right? And now you're going to go on the road and play the Mets, who are a tire fire, equally as much as you are. Maybe you give yourself a little bit of confidence going into the All-Star break. It's not going to change whether they buy or sell. But stack some wins, see where you can get them, see what happens when you have Carter leading off, and continue to hit Jack, in the 3-4 spot. Bobby's starting to heat up again. It's at least gives you some reason to watch, right? Like I am not trying to sit here and say that they're going to turn their season around, but can they give us reasons to still just tune in or second screen it in a lot of cases? And I think there is enough talent there for that to be the case. I want to talk about the 2 All-Stars that the Royals got. Some of the trade deadline stuff as we're getting closer. And we'll do all that right after this.
The attorneys at Northland Injury Law have been serving the Kansas City area for over 40 years, helping people with serious injuries from car accidents, work accidents, falls, and other personal injuries. They want to help you, and we don't get paid unless we get money for you. If you have a case, call 816-400-HURT. That's 816-400-4878 now.
Heather Luce, broker owner, KC Local Homes, and Emprise Bank has been a great partner for us. They're our partner in Possible. Debbie and I hit it off immediately, and she was one of the first bankers that I would say sat down with me and actually genuinely cared about my story and where I was coming from and what I was trying to do, not just what kind of loan do you need, how much equity do you have, and she really kind of laid out my options for me and just made the process make sense, and I felt comfortable with it. Start to talk about it and think about it, a building popped up that I wanted, that I could afford, and it was in a great area. And so they really guided me through the SBA. I used the SBA loan to acquire it and really guided me through that process and made it happen. I think that we talk about that a lot, where we wouldn't have a business. We wouldn't have what we have here if we didn't have the clientele that we do. I've always functioned out of a people over profits mentality. The houses sell themselves, right? Like, I'm here to help people and facilitate the transaction for them.
David Starnes Allstate Insurance is a proud partner of KC Sports Network, serving the Kansas City area and all throughout the Midwest. If you are looking for new coverage or something that better suits your home, auto, health, or any of your other insurance needs, give Dave and his team a call. Elevate your coverage and be worry-free with David Starnes Allstate Insurance.
You know that moment, the one when you realize you left your favorite sunglasses at the beach or on the roof of your car or at the gas station 3 states away. Well, I've been there too. But then I found Shady Rays and it changed the game. These sunglasses are made for real life. Seriously good looking, polarized, durable, and not stupidly expensive. And here's the wild part. If you lose them or break them, even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair. No guilt trip, just replacements. So now I can actually wear my sunglasses without fear on hikes, at concerts, on the boat, wherever. They have sunglasses for golfing, fishing, hiking, and biking, even sunglasses for kids. Shady Rays is eyewear that has your back. Go to shadyrays.com and use code KCSN for 40% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. A couple of notes from Andy Rogers that I missed from earlier this afternoon when they had their pregame discussion with Matt Cotrero. Kyle Isbell won't go on a rehab assignment as expected, as he was expected to this weekend. After feeling some soreness over the weekend, he's being reevaluated to determine next steps. Vinny Pasquantino will join AAA Omaha tomorrow for a rehab assignment. So potentially getting Vinny Pasquantino back in a week or two, which is pretty great. Don't think there's any other notes at this time. I already talked about Cole Reagans last week. Missing now 10 to 12 months with a elbow surgery is what it is. It's unfortunate. But on a brighter note, the Royals have 2 guys going to represent them in Philadelphia here next week, a week from Tuesday, so as you're listening to this on Tuesday, a week from today, the All-Star game will be played, and Bobby Witt Jr. will be the starting shortstop for the American League, as he should have been for the last 2 years, but this is the first time that he will start. I believe it was Jeremy Pena who got the start in 2024, and then it was Jacob Wilson, of all people, getting the start for the American League in 2025, but now Bobby takes his rightful place as the starting shortstop for the American League. He has been great this year. I know the offense is not necessarily what you would think of when you're thinking about an all-star, but he's still hitting 290 with an 830 OPS and 12 homers, 30 stolen bases, which is incredible. I would not be shocked if he surpasses his career high that he had in 23, where he had 49 stolen bases. And what's also impressive is that the caught stealings have come way down. He stole 31 in 2024, but he got caught 12 times. He stole 38 last year and got caught 9 times. This year, 30 stolen bases, caught only 4 times. And 20 doubles, once again, not necessarily seeing the triples that we have this, in the past, which is kind of unique. But again, he's going to flirt with 180, 200 hits. Once again, he's going to post. He's, near a 5-win player at the All-Star break again. Guy's unbelievable, right? I don't need to belabor the point on how good Bobby Witt Jr. is. I think we all kind of know that. The other one was a bit of a surprise. I was beating this drum early in the year, like April and May, thinking, I was like, Michael Wacha is pitching like an all-star. Like, he should represent the Royals as an all-star, as we get closer. He hasn't made it an all-star team in over a decade. He deserves it. He should be there if he keeps this up. And it turns out the coaches that, helped determine reserves had the same thoughts I did and named Michael Wacha to his first all-star team in 2015. Very rare to have a guy have a decade between appearances. I think they said in the social media video that they posted that this is like the 3rd time that a guy's had an 11-year gap between all-star appearances. So obviously incredible. And a well-deserved honor. And a 3.45 ERA, leads the league in innings and batters faced. In Kansas City, it's a 3.57 ERA and 454 innings. Been worth every penny of the contract that they initially gave him, and then the $51 million extension that he got before the 2025 season. I really don't think people understand how good Michael Wacha has been in Kansas City. It's 78 starts, 454 innings. And he's been worth, I know this is not the totality of it, but it's WAR is an approximation of value. It is just a tool to help you understand how valuable a player can be. And pitcher WAR is a little bit different because they play up to, especially as a starter, up to 32 times a season. Well, Michael Wacha has been worth 8.6 WAR in 2.5 seasons in Kansas City. By comparison, the rest of his time in baseball, the 7 years in St. Louis, the 1 year in Tampa, the 1 year in San Diego, the 1 year in Boston, and the 1 year with the Mets, he's been worth 14 wins above replacement during that time. 14. So the other 11 years, right? So about nearly 40% of his total career wins above replacement has happened in a 2.5 year stretch in Kansas City. He's with another outing or two and it would of solid baseball, he'll surpass his entire individual WAR for the 7 years he spent with the Cardinals, which was 8.8 in 7 years and about 413 more innings. 411 innings, pardon me. He's been awesome. And this is about as well-deserved an all-star as there could be for this, especially when you consider where this team is. One of the worst in the league. Not often do you see those teams get multiple all-stars. We've watched for years. It's like, okay, who's going to be the one guy that goes? Well, Merrifield, Salvador Perez, Bobby Witt Jr., Andrew Benintendi that 1 year. I think it was in 22. You got obviously 4 in the 2024 season. Lugo, Reagans, Wacha, Salvi. You get Bubic and Bobby last year. And this year, I'm thinking it's probably going to be Bobby. It should be Wacha, but I don't think he's going to get it. But he did. So I feel vindicated in that. But I am happy that he is getting the he's going to be put on a pedestal for a week. And if he pitches in that game, it'll get talked about. And I think that is incredibly awesome. And I couldn't be happier for him, a guy that chose to stay in Kansas City. I think that should be talked about by Royals fans as well. A guy that came here and then wanted to stay. And I think that matters. Which then brings me to my next point about the trade deadline. So that's coming up on August 3rd. So we're less than a month away now from moves being made across baseball, not just with the Royals. And obviously the conversation around Kansas City is going to sell, right? Like they are where they are in the standings for a reason, and they need to retool this thing. And I completely agree with that stance, that process, and that is what is expected. John Paul Morosi posted at the end of last week that the Kansas City bullpen is going to get calls. Mentioned Lang, mentioned Ursay, mentioned Schreiber. Daniel Lynch. I'll be really curious what moves are actually made. And one name that is brought up in various points and that the Royals should look to move, obviously Seth Lugo, but I don't know who's going to take on that contract. I think that's a really tricky part. You can get someone to bite on that, I think, certainly. And he's a couple years older than Wacha. He probably wants to go pitch on a contender. I would understand that case. Lane Thomas, Starling Marte, understand. Those guys are 1 year rentals. They have a very defined role. Go hit left-handed pitching. And we move on from there. But the guy that probably would give Kansas City the biggest return, that could help add some pieces, that maybe a couple of good prospects, maybe a big league ready guy or two, would be Michael Wacha. But as time has gone, we've watched some more stuff happen from this season. I do not think it's as cut and dry as Michael Wacha will be traded. At this point, I talked about it with Jason Anderson on the Zone earlier today. I said I think it's about a coin flip. I was thinking about 80-20, 85-15 that he would be gone or that he would get moved. About a month ago. Less and less now. And I think there's a few reasons for that. One is the human side. I know people don't want to hear that because players are worth millions of dollars. It's a business, all that. The human side does factor in here, though. Just a little bit. It's not the reason, but I do think it plays a part. As I mentioned at the end of my little spiel about Wacha making the All-Star team, he chose to be here. right? Like he could have hit free agency, in my opinion, and made more money than he did staying in Kansas City. He got $17 million AAV on the 3-year extension. I bet after the year he had, he could have gotten more. He probably could have got a 3 for 60, a 3 for 63, whatever, right? Just you could throw out numbers, but I think he could have gotten north of $20 million a year. But he got 17 from Kansas City and was sticking around. And we kind of heard after 24, like I would expect an extension to get done with Wacha for him to stay. And he could have cashed in after that year, right? That's 2 years in a row where he was 3 years in a row where he was awesome. Pitched great in Boston, was really good in San Diego, and then was great in Kansas City. But at that point in his career, he had played since 2019. He had played for St. Louis, the Mets in 20, the Rays in 21, Boston, San Diego, and Kansas City. It was 6 teams in 6 years. And he's got a wife and young kids. His family moved here. They wanted to establish, they talk about how much they love Kansas City, how much they love living here, raising their family, and the importance of that. And you have to, and what we understand as well, Kansas City is not a free agent destination. It is not a hub of you're going to be able to sell people on coming here to play. Especially young free agents. And there's a reason why the type of free agents the Royals go get. Veteran dudes that have kind of been around, be a place to play for a couple of years. That's the way the market plays. I don't think optically it would be great to trade a guy that chose to stay to some degree. Money talks, obviously, but chose to stay. To then go a year and a half into that extension, nah, see ya. And especially for a guy that's as well respected in the league as Michael Wacha is. Optically, I don't know how that would work. I know it's business. I would still, and I am just playing out the devil's advocate side of not trading them. I still think I probably would if I were the Royals. I think you should. But I also think there is more at play here than just cut and dry of a yes-no. Like the gray area that we're kind of sitting in right now, I think there's more to it than that. But that's one part. Okay, like the human side of doing right by a guy that chose to stay. There's that side of it. Secondly, we just watched last week be told Cole Reagans is done for the year. Right? Like he's not going to pitch until, he'll be back. If it's a 10 to 12 month timeline, he's back around. Best case after the All-Star break in 27. Chris Bubich, who has suffered multiple setbacks in his recovery from shoulder injury, he is a free agent at the end of the season. So he'll have the opportunity to test the market. What market there is, I don't know. But it's brutal, in that stretch, right? For that to be the case. Maybe you can get him back, but do you want to get in that business again with the injury risk? Because that's basically been it's been since about this time last year. He had a great first 3 months of the season, 4 months, and got to the All-Star game, had an okay start in Miami, and then had a start against the Guardians, I believe it was. I was at that one, where he couldn't find the zone, talks afterwards about, hey, something's wrong, I don't know what's going on, and then he's out for the rest of the year. And then he pitches okay for about 6 weeks to begin this season, and he's hurt. Hey, that's a concern. You have Noah Cameron, Stephen Kolek, and right now Luinder Avila, I have him kind of like pencil. I think those guys are mid-rotation, right? Like, you slot those guys in anywhere 3, 4, 5, you feel good. But those guys aren't top of rotation. Like, I don't think those guys are your opening day starter. I don't think those guys are potentially game one of a playoff series starters for you. That's like what I think of when I think of ace, right? And Ben Kudrna, We still don't really know what he is. He hasn't even debuted yet, but he's basically out for this season. Ryan Berger had a good stretch, but then he got hurt at the end of last year, and then he got clipped. So he's going to miss at least the beginning of next season. Hopefully he's ready by May or June. If the way the timeline works. Maybe, the free agent market, you may be able to go and find a guy or two for 1-2 year deals, but I don't know what that's going to look like. Let me check the free agents just while I'm on that topic as it floated into my head. Just for starting pitchers. I mean, obviously the Tarek Skubals of the world, don't even think about that. Like Shota Imanaga, but he might get quite a bit of money. Kevin Gausman, but he's 36. Jack Flaherty, but he's not pitched well this year. Brady Singer, good reunion there, but he has not pitched well this year. Dustin May has a mutual option. Mutual options can almost get declined almost every time. Sonny Gray's got a $30 million mutual option. I think that's going to get declined. You got Casey Mize, you got Foster Griffin, Adrian Morejon, Freddie Peralta. They're not going to be able to get much for, they're not going to be able to be in that business. I think what I'm trying to get at here is that it's not like it's going to be super easy to replenish, and the starting pitching market gets driven up just about every year. To circle back, long road to a short point, who's going to get innings for this team next year that you can relatively rely on? Seth Lugo, if he comes back, that's great. He's had like 5.5 ERA since he signed that extension. Not necessarily great innings. He'll eat them, but seen that with other pitchers, right? And it's a hefty price tag for a guy with a 5.5 ERA. As it stands right now, Michael Wacha would start opening day in 2027 for the Royals. And they probably want to have a guy that they feel good about, that the floor is as safe as it can get. He's still got upside. He still has, it's not like it is, what's the way to put it? Like you're getting pretty much quality start every time you go out there, right? Like that's about as safe as it gets, generally. There may not be a crazy amount of upside, but he's still a very good pitcher. He's also going to be 35. At what point is this just like a really good stretch of basically 5 seasons now, and then next year is when it turns? I'm not quite sure. But I do, and all of this to say, kind of the overarching point I made at the beginning, I don't think it's as cut and dry as they're going to trade Michael Wacha. Like they have to. I don't think it is that simple. Whether you think that's a good idea or not is a conversation for another day. Whether I think it's a good idea or not is a conversation for another day. We'll see what happens over the next month. If they're blown away by an offer, even if they want to trade, if they don't want to trade Michael Wacha, shoot. We got a chance to make our big league team better for now and for the future. I think you have to look at all opportunities. But as futile as it may sound, I don't know how aggressive the Royals are going to be at the deadline. Like Schreiber, Thomas, Marte, maybe you listen on Daniel Lynch. I don't think we'll see anything too dramatic, at least the way I'm viewing it right now. And we'll see how it goes. But leave your guys' thoughts in the comments. Did what I say make sense? That it is not as simple for the Royals as trading him, right? And some of this is too. You guys may not believe it right now. People may not believe it, but this team still thinks they can compete next year, right? Like they are not going to punt on this. I do not believe. With Carter and Jack establishing themselves, Bobby's entering his prime. Michael Garcia is entering that as well. Michael Massey's for to be about a league average player. Vinny Pasquantino, if he's able to bounce back a little bit, to the guy he has been the previous 2 years. The offense, at least looks like it's not entirely in dire straits. But we'll see what happens. There's a lot that's going to change between now and the trade deadline on August 3rd. And I'll be really curious to see how aggressive they get. What's going to happen? How is this going to go? I think that's probably going to wrap this up for me today. I appreciate you guys listening. As always, subscribe if you have not already. Like the video, leave a 5-star review on the audio side. Check out, I'm sure we're going to have Royals Pipeline at some point this week. Please be sure to check that out. Saturday afternoon, I believe starting at 12:30 Central, we'll be live here on the KCSN YouTube channel, doing a live stream of the draft. The Royals are picking 6, so should be pretty exciting to see who they take, how they go about it, given some of the way that this is all kind of played out for the big league club. If they decide to be a little more aggressive, go and get a college guy, I'll be really fascinated by how they handle it. And then live post game on Sunday to wrap up the first half of the season before the All-Star break. So still got a lot of content your way. Be sure to check it all out, and we'll talk here coming up soon. Have a good one, y'all.